One of the most lightning-fast jazz rock pianists of the 1970s was a fellow who released his first album at the age of 15 in 1962. I am talking about Barry Miles. And from his 1973 release, Scatbird, the track Skeleton Dance. So far, we've got like a real chordal section, like here. You can hear like the B sharp. You can piece together like the B sharp and kind of like hear the open notes and the B flat. I meant. Yeah, like B flat, A minor, F, E minor. Really good two-hand control. You can like and clarity of notes too. Like you can hear the upper notes and the lower just on that ivory. Amazing ability to move two hands differently simultaneously. One kind of like faster, more fluid than the other, then one kind of slow to fast. Yeah. I think something's about to congeal. Hear that the different patterns on like the lower he's going dun 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 dun, and then the other is just like the higher the right hand is just all filigree. This almost sounds double tracked. It's amazing that one guy could be doing this. Yeah, what I tell you, some of the most lightning fingers on the American jazz scene at the time. And yet this is so melodic for this kind of music anyway. It's like you can just piece together the chords. Like I'm hearing major seventh tonalities too in the sequence that I mentioned. Yeah, I'm hearing some open notes. I'm hearing some I'm hearing minors and major sevenths. Just... Yeah, like F major seventh to E minor. Now things have tightened. We're doing closed cadences now. Full band. Forgot about that. Music he was listening to growing up, because he was doing jazz, I guess, from like age 15 onward, but there's such a strong sense of melody to this and underlying chordal structure. It's hummable, it's accessible. I could see this being a gateway to like pop rock fans who listeners who aren't very attuned to jazz. Drumming really persistent, really like brushes on the snares, I believe, and yeah, drums by Terry Silverlight, who 117 credits according to Discogs. Was involved in that Brooklyn, Bronx and Queens band. Covered that a few weeks ago. Was involved in the recording anyway, and Denroy Morgan, Blanca. Good friend, Zinc. Oh, it looks like he went Change and Zinc. It looks like he ended up kind of in the funk scene, and then a bit earlier than that, the Chris Hines combination and Odyssey. Varied list of credits. And we've also got some bass work here, courtesy of Frank Tusa. 40 credits according to Discogs in the group Open Sky, and around the same time as this, and performances on albums by David Lieberman, Dom Romao, and Dizzy Reese. Oh, Ramona Francis, the Israeli jazz vocalist. Very thick bass tone too. It's got kind of like a almost kind of a reverby quality to it. Actually, what effects he might be using, but it's like kind of that's kind of what I'm detecting. The drummer just like playing against some of these bars, just like kicking right through it, like breaking things up, just. Yeah, throwing in like double the amount of beats, the amount of like beats on the snare or the kick drum. Now I'm hearing some definite stand-up bass here. Even though the cadence has shifted, now we're more kind of like in a post-bop up-tempo section with like walking like stand-up bass and such, and a bit looser piano. We're still kind of going over like the same underlying chords. It's still the same ba 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 ba. Okay, maybe it's kind of lost like the F and the E, but it's still like each like the figure keeps on restarting in B flat. throws in those chords. He'll go through like all this soloing, all this dizzying, notes and filigree, and then he'll at times go like dun 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 dun. The drumming seems a little bit tighter here, like it. I love that touch. I love those vocals. I love the tone. I love that the way the way they harmonize. The credits don't tell us who's responsible for that. The introduction of someone I've been waiting for on this. The one and only John Abercrombie. That like psychedelic tone, that kind of dirty tone. Bend and scale, bend and scale. And now our bass guy, Frank Tusa, has switched back to electric bass. I love the way it's getting kind of almost free for, well, slightly kind of off center now. I'm starting to get the sense that Barry Miles and Frank Tusa are almost doing two completely different things. The ensemblic interplay is kind of like loosening, and it's almost like several people in the same room playing slightly different things from one another. In other words, it's getting avant-garde. Just devolving into chaos. As if you needed any further proof that by 1973, the barriers between rock and jazz and avant-garde had completely been eliminated. I mean, this track, while ostensibly a jazz cut all the way through, it's gone through, it's invoked so many other idioms. I mean, we've heard like kind of like a post-bop passage, or like bebop post. We've heard like kind of this more like psychedelic jazz rock passage. We've heard the kind of piano ballad kind of rainy night intro. We got kind of the vocal jazz passages, and we got this kind of avant-garde section. I was surprised that he's so understated in this piece, John Abercrombie. I mean, we didn't hear him until like 7 minutes in, and he's kind of just sort of playing kind of understated here. I mean, if anything, the real soloists on this thing have been well, Barry Miles, our main guy, of course, and drummer Terry Silverlight. Those two have just been, almost kind of like in a competition of just dazzling, or like beats versus notes. Now here I'm hearing two. I'm hearing kind of like two cadences overlapping. I'm hearing some really overtly open cadences and some that are a bit tighter. Sustained bass notes with scaly bits. I love the way Barry Miles' playing sounds over this. Like things are kind of winding down, kind of like swaying, kind of loosening up, and then he's still got that like he's pared it down somewhat, but he's still got that filigree in him, that like really fast right hand. That was Barry Miles with a Skeleton Dance from his 1973 album Scatbird, and released on the Mainstream label. He would do an album, did about 6 albums during the 1970s in a similar vein. Yeah, White Heat, this one, Magic Theater, Skytrain, and Fusion Is. Those are all really strong albums. Released his first album, Miles of Genius, on Charlie Parker Records in 1962 when he would have only been, 15, born in 1947. Yeah, and so kind of a teen prodigy, I guess, and just, great American talent and one of the finest pianists of his generation. And I'll confidently say that even if I don't have necessarily 100 off the top of my head I can compare him to, but until further information is presented to me, and leave a comment on that. I know like McCoy Tyner, but he would have, I think, been looking up to McCoy Tyner, and taken after him somewhat, but for a relatively young guy on the block anyway, this guy was just the boy wonder. Anyway, for more Rubies and Sapphires from this Barry Miles album, see the directory of the directory of albums from 1973, linked in the description below. Over 1,063, that's 1,063 titles strong currently, of all the great music, across all corners, across the entire musical spectrum from that very rich and Ruby album-packed year. Like and subscribe, and follow me on social media, and leave a comment if there are any observations you have about the track we just heard. The layers, the soloing, the dazzling filigree, the musicianship. Who had the best moments on the record? Who had the best licks, the best rolls, the best... and which moments stood out? And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most ear-traveled trimaximalist, signing off.